Good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of Knowledge Seekers program from Keshe and the Space Institute. We welcome you back. And as usual, we try to go directly into teaching. But something very interesting which just happened, and it's amazing how I had no knowledge of the intro, which was chosen by Rick, and he just told me that this is done by Lisa some times ago, and it's the first time you're broadcasting it. And it's interesting how he always chooses the topics which is somewhere most of the time in the background of the teaching or what is going on. This intro is very important in a way what spoke about 5+1 negotiations in Vienna. As I know many of you are aware, the head of IAEA, Dr. Grossi, arrived in Tehran last night to reignite the 5+1 prior to Trump taking office, even though, as you know, they get elected and they start working in the background till they take office in January by the American new president. But what is interesting, after a week of declaration of the new president elected in the US, Mr. Grossi has decided to meet in Iran, even though there is a very large conference going in Vienna by the IAEA, some 300 participants of nuclear technologies and the rest in this conference. He left the conference to be in Iran. And as many of you are aware, Iran did some work a couple of months ago. And as you're again aware, in next few hours, maybe a few days, Iran will run a second test, which is deep underground. And usually it's pattern of the government. Iran, what they did in a very intelligent way, the first test was a small amount to see if the ignition system of nuclear warheads work, which they were happy with. And now we see the second test with a larger payload to be able to proceed with what they have to do in the nuclear side. And as I said as advice to the Iranian leadership in the past days, we are abandoning 5+1. I'm sure Americans and others are listening on the line, and they know we usually speak direct. As I suggested to the Iranian leadership, 5+1, when we set it up with Obama exactly 12 years ago, we met on the 15th of November with American ambassadors and the whole entourage in Brussels. We set up the 5+1 to negotiate to find a way. We succeeded in ways, and on the other hand, as now Iran has become a nuclear power with some 30+ warheads, the 5+1 is obsolete, and we walk away from it. Because it was to negotiate that Iran does not become nuclear. Now Iran is nuclear nation. But the pursuing this 5+1 negotiation is useless, because we are there and Iran is part of the nuclear club. And whatever comes, we shall see. But as we abandon 5+1, as of today, I'm sure Grossi will be told in Iran that Iran decision 5+1 does not stand anymore. We negotiate as a nuclear nation, and what we call the game has changed. But I'm sure in the coming weeks, as knowledge seekers, you'll find out that nuclear industry of Iran pursuing for nuclear preparation and the rest has been part of the Iran space technology. Iran space program, as I laid out in 2008, is nuclear based. We are totally nuclear, but in a different direction, and many facilities of Iran is used in that direction. As we saw, Netanyahu in 2015 showed the Iranian plasma nuclear space reactor of the Keshe Foundation, and even a cross-section from inside it, as Iran nuclear preparation for nuclear bomb. And we negotiate on the basis of the Iran new space technology with the West. And you will see the change in the course. I'm sure that the Iranian negotiator, in a very soft way, will explain to Mr. or Dr. Grossi in Tehran today, as he arrived last night, that we're not talking about any prevention to become, we are nuclear, but our nuclear is on a peaceful application for space technology and space defense. How they take it, how they develop it, is part of the knowledge gain and political environment. It's the first time ever Dr. Grossi has announced that he's coming to Iran to negotiate with the Iranian government and Iranian nuclear physicists, because they know they have lost the position to negotiate on a nuclear basis, but they want to know how much they achieved, how many warheads. You will find out it stands equal and know what we call the spring beans to give more information than they expect. But on the other hand, you will hear in the coming weeks and months to come that Iran nuclear development is for peaceful application of a space development. And we will find out that in that process, Keshe Foundation and the knowledges of Keshe Foundation will play a huge part in this process. Be it developing the technology in different applications, be it developing the information and technology in different directions. Many of you have seen the Keshe Foundation and you tell us, why don't you do this? If you have this, why don't you do that? Like any other organization, if you look at the structures like NASA, European Space Agency is partially in there, but if you look at the Chinese and Russians and NASA, they are not just somebody to push someone and few people into space, as we've seen in the space lab. They carry out continuously different experiments to find more and to prove part of the technologies they develop is workable. Keshe Foundation and its space program is no different. You saw us doing agriculture in China. You've seen us setting a factory up in Ghana, which everybody thought it was a failure, but it was one of the biggest successes we had in research and development in a short time we were in Ghana. Sometime in the future, I'll explain why and how. Then you've seen many of you doing different tests. We opened a wellness center in collaboration with Germany. These all were to test different application, different criteria, effectiveness, and learning to do in space the correct way. We are no different. We are literally no different than NASA. They come, they do finding, trying to discover something that stops the material getting damaged in space or whatever. They do all the research, and then when they discover it, they sell it to you as Teflon. That's where Teflon came. Many of your materials and systems and other things you use is part of proof of technology which is used in space. The government do this with the finances behind their back and hide a lot of it, and when and if becomes successful, we hear about it. In Keshe Foundation, we are the same. You knowledge seekers, Keshe Foundation and different operation, we test to prove, yes, we can produce material. Yes, we can create what we call non-satellite communication from Mars or Moon to Earth and the rest. Yes, we can create water from magnetic field. Yes, we can create lift and motion and weight reduction. To you as knowledge seekers has been, Mr. Keshe, wasting time. But no, Keshe Foundation and Mr. Keshe work on a target. We say we can transfer information. What do? We don't need no satellite. NASA spends billions, finds different organization testing. Mr. Keshe goes to knowledge seekers. You pay us to be in sessions for us to develop the technology of communication. No satellite communication. This is what you've been doing on Fridays every month with us. When you sit, but we are so advanced that we don't lose the verbal communication that is instantaneous. We use your soul, the information from your inner being, which affects our system. We see it. We communicate through your inner energy. We are even more advanced than they are. And now we say cosmic bundles. You buy cosmic bundles. Oh, I have a thing, I can do communication. Yes, you buy it. We see how your system performs in different tests. When you use it for communication, when you use it for obesos, different ways of it. So all the things you've done with us in the past 20 years is part of what black budgets cover. And when it's successful, you might hear. And if it's a failure, you might, if they decide you hear. Keshe Foundation, our failure, our success in a space in development, agriculture, that man needs food and energy and space is on the table. So you will hear from Iranian government in a coming time very soon that we abandon 5+1 because we are already a nuclear nation, but nuclear for space development. Even though we have access to nuclear for annihilating anything on this planet. 13 nuclear warheads is a massive amount of power. But Iran is not in the game of playing that game. Iran is in the game of developing new technologies. In the coming days and weeks, we start negotiating with IAEA and the American government directly. Technology in exchange for peace. We will show people like Moss that Tesla cars are obsolete. There is no need for battery cars. European nations cannot afford it because it's too expensive. We will show the X-rocket program is over because we will show Iran will commit himself before end of this decade to land on Mars and Moon and the rest in matter of minutes and hours than days, which is done now. NASA is working to get to Moon on 2030, headed by one of the Keshe Foundation close collaborators and friends in NASA. Takes 7 months to go to Mars and then find the right track to come back 7 months. We estimated about 22 months needed for round trip. But the Iranian space program, nuclear-based plasma technology, returned to Mars within a day, even shorter. We bring this technology to show everything that Moss has done is obsolete. He is a billionaire in matter state. Once we introduce the plasma state, he is zillionaire. Tesla cars were not worth anything. Project X was not worth anything. The satellites he's put around the Earth worth nothing. So we see one of the millionaires, billionaires, the fourth richest man on this planet in material state will worth nothing. Unless Keshe Foundation backs it, unless collaboration is with Keshe Foundation and Tesla. And the rest of it. We'll negotiate with the American government, new administration, on the basis of advanced technology, not on the basis of nuclear. Nuclear for us is obsolete. And this is all because partly and primarily because of you knowledge seekers. You tested for us. You did things for us. You educated people. We hear later on today how Brazilian conference in Brazil last weekend put the technology across the nation. We hear from different ministers who are ambassadors, who are knowledge seekers, but they understand the ethos and they work inside. So, in a way, as exactly 12 years ago, tomorrow, I put my hand across the table to the American officials by the request and the meeting in Brussels, Technology and Exchange for Peace, which became the beginning of 5+1. Today, exactly 12 years later, we announced the end of 5+1. Because They did not listen the way we wanted it, but they gave Iran a chance to become a universal nuclear technology nation, not matter state human nuclear state. And I thank the Iranian scientists, the knowledge seekers of Keshe Foundation who work inside the Iran Atomic Energy Authorities, the same as the knowledge seekers who work in Russian Space Agency, the same as the knowledge seekers who work in NASA and the rest of it. We've seen the knowledge seekers, even in American defense, has submitted a patent on the what we call the star formation of the Keshe Foundation. And when they asked him, he said the guy who invented it, who discovered it, doesn't want to patent it. I do it. He's a knowledge seeker because if he didn't have the knowledge of the Keshe Foundation, he could not put a patent in. So you see, we are everywhere. We become everywhere because it goes on wisdom of 12 years ago. In 2012, we had the wisdom of sharing knowledge very conspicuously and very hidden with the world governments. We gave the keys to the embassy, to the ambassadors. When you give, even when you say hello to an ambassador, which is something with his nation, he has to report it. The key we gave to all the nations was transferred back to their nations. They opened it up. Chinese has spent trillions of yen in testing, inspecting, finding out which part of the knowledge which was on the key was useless to them and which one was useful to them. And this led us in 2017 to China and all the work we've done in China. Now we have infiltrated like a mob without them knowing what's happening above through the brain and knowledge of the knowledge seekers. It's important for us to know we carry on the teaching because we laid the road for next step. The teaching, especially since started last week and the teachings of past month or so, is directly to that way. When we cross into the boundaries of this solar system, we don't have anymore even the sunlight to rely on to charge our systems. Our nuclear powered systems are useless because they have a problem in creating faster speed. They cannot give us protection in the span of the universe. They cannot create universal transportation. And this is why we introduced the teachings, especially starting from last week when I said we go into a new dimension. If you want to play a game, you have to understand the rules of the game. If you want to be playing football, you cannot wear American football clothes with the helmets and everything else. It makes you useless when you play soccer. Even though they both chase the same ball with different shape. In a space, we cannot use propulsion. We cannot use nuclear reactors the way they are today. We have to travel. We have to travel the span of the universe according the way the universe is created, not what man imagined in the matter state. We have to understand the work, the way it's there, and can be used to travel the span of universe. It's been to us, it's been with us, and it's the cause of our creation, but we never understood. As I said once to a close friend of mine in Tehran, the Keshe Foundation technology, it's like the oil in southern Iran and in Saudi Arabia in parts, where for thousands of years oil has bubbled up and it's been on the land. Nobody knew what to do with it. Till the man came, developed intellectually and technically to build something to convert this oil to something that it could run the engine. It was there for thousands of years. But when the intellect reached the position of the industrial level that man could create a system, call it the engine, could use it, refine it, and run a car, then we start understanding more and more about it since past 150 years. It's been there for millions of years. Gas plasma technology. Understanding the condition of the fuels of the universe has been with us not since the oil time, but we are created out of it. Our own creation, our own body works, lives through it all the time. Now we have reached technologically to a level to understand it. And this is why there is so much opposition by those who still want to use the oil, because they're happy with their abuse of the planet, and they cannot do that with the universal energies. Now, with the thanks to understanding and wisdom of the Khamenei of Iran, Keshe Foundation will rise to a limit that mankind could not imagine. The knowledge of the Keshe Foundation under the flag of Iranian nation will become part of the work of the Iranian negotiation with America, with Western Europe, and the rest of the nations. Advanced technology for obsolete technology. In the coming days and weeks, we'll see it on the table of negotiation on behalf of the Iranian nation as Keshe Foundation. Negotiating the new technology, showing to Mr. Tesla that people who use his name to build a car with it have come to the point where he brought to merge the old with new, and Keshe Foundation brings the new technology. Where we have to understand, okay, you're happy to go with a donkey, use Tesla cars, electric charge. You want to go with the jumbo jets of today knowledge, you use gravitational system. It cost $9 billion to build one factory to produce electric car batteries to meet 15% of the demand of United Kingdom only. Then you see how man soon will run out of the option with electric cars. Then we have no alternative to look for new sources. Oil and engines of structure using different type of oils has supported us over 100 years, 150 years. Electric cars will not support us for 15 years, when they're supposed to be as extensively as mechanical engines. The earth does not have the resources, financial resources, to produce 80 to 100 million cars, which primarily works on electric cars. And at the same time, supply the cars which are produced years before and the cars come in the future. The car industry knows, the governments know, but they're hoping something will come and solve this problem. At the moment, we're making good money out of it. You got to realize there is no option but to come up with an alternative by latest 2030, 2035 to replace electric cars. We don't have enough ground to bury our nuclear waste, let alone find ground to, in a way, recycle and bury the cars which use electric batteries. a safer method, a safer technology, cheaper technology, accessible technology for every man on this planet has to become an alternative, where we use energies which is within structure of our planetary system and in our universe. We tapped into the oil fields. We tapped into trying to say we use the rays of the sun. With the new technology, we tap into the energies of the universe. We tap into energies which created us and is everlasting. It feeds us, but we don't accept because we don't understand. It's very easy to build a system in energy which works the same way as the body of the man. If you understood the very first teachings, go back from the beginning of the time when I start teaching. I always told you what you eat, what you consume as a human being is 20% of your what body consumes. The other 80% comes from the fields of the planetary system energy and the universe. Man making a system to travel the span of universe has to work on the same way. Earth was a small ball and it became the size it is today, and its surface is still expanding in dimension. Because it receives, even in the center core with all this water and the mass on top of it, energy from the universal system. Continuously fed. You call it magnetic fields, and we show it with lines in the North Pole and the South Pole. These lines are the feeding line to the system. They're not just fields. They're not just imaginary line. We eat food, we kill animals, we destroy vegetables to feed ourselves, to walk, to live, to keep the heart moving. When we are sick, lying on a bed in a hospital, we cannot eat anything. They connect one line to our body to feed us and one line to get our waste out, without any potatoes and bananas going in. That line feeding in is the same as the magnetic field which goes through the earth. The line which comes out is the same as we say in the North Pole line coming out. The energy of the universe is fed through these magnetic fields into the center of this planet continuously. Keep it going. Is not just with the fallacy of that in the center there is a hydrogen or nuclear process and a metal drum or whatever to create the magnetic fields. This is all made up stories for the man who did not have the intelligence of the past, of the creation. These line of magnetic fields we are used to seeing over the field comes in from the south and it goes through the north, is that pipe in the arm of the man feeding it. The body takes the energy from that line, what it needs, and then it gives out what it doesn't need on the other end, which we call it the North Pole. In fact, if you look at it, the mouth of this planet is on the south and its anus on the top. We call it the North Pole, where it comes out for certain direction of the fields, and vice versa the other way. And in that process, the fields just don't go just going. When you see the magnetic field line, these are feeding line. These are the processes which the universe exists on. This is the line where the sun transfers its energy to the center core of the earth and all the planetary system. And scientists of the man have not understood this. Your heart, your body cannot function if it doesn't receive food on continuous basis. You die. It's the same with the planetary system, it's the same with Earth. If it doesn't receive food on continuous basis from its mother, the sun, through magnetic fields, it'll die. will collapse. It's not just there is one center core, is what that field brings to center core, continuously feeding it. It's the same as the body of the man. They say you use 2,000 calories a day to be able to run. Earth takes billions, thousands of magnetic field, plasmatic field calories from the sun every day to run its center, to be able to rotate, to dissipate it as magnetic fields coming out to feed its children, which is the man, dog, the cat, and the rest. We call it gravity. We call it magnetical. When we have magnetical field going out, it's not just going out to cover the earth and the atmosphere. It feeds us. It's part of that 80%. It goes through us. It doesn't have a line to pass your body as you're running. Doesn't matter where you are, like the love of the Creator rains on you. In a way, man gets fed exactly through the earth, through his backside. Where is closest to the earth, and it comes out through his brain. And when man creates too much energy in the middle, and that energy coming out cannot handle the physical dimension, you have a brain stroke and you have a heart attack. We are getting fed exactly like man said. Micro and a micro, what you don't see in one, you don't understand. Look at the other one, you understand. You thought your backside is the way you get rid of everything. In fact, your backside is where everything comes in from the planet Earth as a magnetical field. You're running in the atmosphere of it. Why do you think you're special and nothing happens to you? Why do you think mankind is something very special? Earth receives fields from the earth, from the sun, and the rest of it to its southern pole as the rotation of the clockwise of the system and anti-clockwise of the system goes. And then, as it goes, energizes, it creates fields, and this magnetical and gravitational, how do they come? What are they? Is just something in the air? No, it's part of your life, it's your feeding system, it's part of the 80%. Most probably 60% of the 80% is what comes through your bottom up. Then, if you understand this, you follow the tracer when it went through your brain, where it's gone to. Where it's going to land me. Then you understand more about the truth of your own creation. This is why I explained yesterday, sorry, in the last week teaching, about when you take a step, there is no rocket to push it up. It's just the way the fields work. Now you understand how 80% of your food come to you. 60%, maybe more, comes from magnetic field, which creates the magnetical atmosphere of this planet. The balance comes from the universal energies from above, which goes through. Remember the magnetic fields on a magnet. The gap in between is not just the gap, is where fields come in. That's where we receive fields from universal energies. 60% comes from the earth within, which the earth has digested from the fields of the universe, which come through the sun and the rest through its bottom side. So next time when you sit on the ground, think how much energy I'm taking in. Then you understand why man likes to sit. Why man lies down to go to sleep. And how our position changes when we sleep and we dream. And next time when you wake up, lying on the floor, see which side of your body you slept, and then remember the dream, the travel of the span of your internal energy, your central core. And then you find out if your dream is connected to the earth, or is your dream connected to the universe? Did you connect to somebody else or you did not? Did you fall asleep upright, and how did it affect you? Man should understand the work of the universe, the realistic way it is, not what was imagined to be. In a way, the earth absorbs higher strength fields into its core on a continuous basis. We show it as magnetic field line, chews it up, transfers it, and like a mother which has chewed the food and puts it in the mouth of his child because he does not have the digestion system, or through his umbilical cord feeds it till it grows, through his magnetic fields feeds the man. We have only looked at what is suited us, but we did not look what happens in reality. Then you understand the confirmation of the man existence. And this is the job of the Keshe Foundation, is coming up negotiation with the American government, with the Russians, with the Chinese, with the rest of humanity, to transfer this knowledge on equal basis, and Iran becomes the center of the technology and the new knowledge of the creator. I have committed the Keshe Foundation to the Iranian government, and will continue to do as is on the terms of every nation, even Israel, will receive the knowledge on one basis: technology in exchange for peace. On the 15th of November 2012, when I put my hand across the table with American officials, American ambassador, they had to make a call to Obama in the White House. He's not giving the key. He wants to shake hand that he starts talking about peace in exchange for technology. This time, in negotiation with the IAEA, we negotiate with the rest of the world. We do not accept United Nations. I'm a nuclear physicist. I speak to the people who understand my language. And in Vienna, we start a new series of negotiations. Not 5+1. The whole humanity, technology, in exchange for peace. Everything is accepted and agreed fundamentally with the Iranian government. And in the coming days, officially, we'll transfer technology across to the other nations through Iranian president and the Office of Ayatollah Khamenei of Iran. The whole process is to show technology in exchange for peace, where we have that oil reserve. We cannot take man to space if we do not have access to the energy, understanding it, and being able to tap into it. And the Keshe Foundation has access to that technology. We have created our own fuel. We have created a space fuel. We have created a fuel which runs the operation of the creator, and not the oil fields of the Middle East and the gases in Alaska and the rest. You have to understand, to play a game, you have to be dressed for it. To run a marathon, you have to be trained for it and have the energy for it. And now we have that technology, we have that access, and we deliver it to be able to take man into space, not just in the next 5 or 10 years to Mars and to Moon, but outside the solar system, using international, what we call universal magnetic field lines. All the fields going into the south pole of the earth does not come from the sun. Partially comes from its own feedback to control, partially comes from the sun, and of the different order comes from the galaxy, and a different order comes from the universe, and a different order comes from the creator. Unchewed and direct. And then the earth does the same. He chews it up and he puts it out in a more concentrated, what I call laser magnetic field of a given strength, which with interaction with the material which cocoons it, is the reactor, become digestible by the body of the man and the plants, and guarantees the survival. Then you understand, when we build the space reactors, they carry the same process. They absorb energy from the universe once we ignite it, like when we give the soul of the man to the body of the man in the womb of the mother, and then it feeds its passengers. When you look at a nuclear-based reactor, the one Mr. Netanyahu showed as the Iran nuclear proliferation, which is actually out of his stupidity, Iran most advanced space reactor. That reactor is not just there to fly you, it has to feed you. It has to be the provider of the medicine for your soul, for your emotion, and for your body. It has to be there to create energy that it gives you light to see. It has to be there to create energy, to create water for you, because your body is based on the water to survive. So if you look, when we build a space reactor, it's the same as the Earth in a miniature dimension. Receives energies from the universe, and then in chewing it, because it's made in the dimension of field strength of the man to feed every cell of the man. And in a space as you don't have the physical body, to feed your soul. Your soul receives that and it does the same thing. It chews it up like a mother to make it digestible to physical dimension when you materially manifest yourself. There is no difference in the structure of the work of the universe. It's the same with the creator. Creator gives the fields for the creation of universe, but on the feedback from the universe gains the totality of the knowledge with the universal entities within it have gathered, and then he feeds it and he feeds back on. This is what I said many times, when I teach to the universe, not to the man. Because the fields of the knowledge and emotion travels the strength field of the universe, and in process returns back to the creator, and as the love of the creator feeds the rest of the created. Now you understand the whole process, slowly, step by step. In our future negotiation in Vienna with the IAEA, we consider IAEA as a point of reference, which soon will become for us a point of negotiation than United Nations. And then in process, we transfer what we call the universal operation of the whole lot to Universal Council. Now you understand, everything is set up for the dimension and the direction. Years ago, in a dinner given by the Chinese government, by the invitation of the Chinese foreign minister, we were invited to a dinner where world leaders, ambassadors were present. One of the gentlemen I met was the African member of the United Nations. I can show you his pictures. We have it in our archive. I said, I've never heard of African member of the United Nations. He said, I represent the African continent. I said to him, I already created this. We call it the Earth Council, and a member for the Earth Council for Africa. I explained to him the difference between the Earth member of the African nation is you. You are born in Africa and you concentrate on your prejudice toward African nations. The Earth Council member of the Keshe Foundation is one who has roots some other place, that when it defends for Africa, it defends not just for Africa, but equal with the others. He said, "You're too clever." I said, "No, I know the wisdom of the work of this man." You understand, we set the structures in advance for upcoming and what is already functionable in the structure. Now, the hardest game for us is to transfer the knowledge that what you know in the matter state is correct. But you have to understand the matter state comes from a bigger state, field, magnetic field energy, which is the universal work. And if you understand this, you understand one cannot exist without the other, and one exists because of the other. Then man learns two languages, two sciences, one in the matter state and one in the energy state, what we call the universal fields. This is that N and O in your amino acid, and the other one is H and C on the other side. And when you put them in orderly manner that it can function between each other, you get the amino acid and you get the man. Now mankind has to learn the next step of the process, that when it travels the span of the universe, you have the hydrogen and the carbon, which is the field strength of the earth, man created, or earth created life, and then the I and C, sorry, H and C, the hydrogen and carbon, which works at the universal level. You still need to learn that part. The carbon in the structure of amino acid is 12. The carbon in the universal field is 14. You have to find the connection. The same, the hydrogen which man is created out of with this amino acid is connected to the oxygen level hydrogen. It's not the same as hydrogen in the universe, but they have a common denominator. You still need to learn this knowledge. In what you call man's world, you have transformers and you have adapters. You plug 120 where the system is 240 volts, and you plug a 240 volt system and it works 120. Man has to learn now that adapter between the universal energy, universal line of communication, universal connection dimension of travel, and the man atmospheric condition of the same. How do you plug into the universal energy carbon 14 and hydrogen of the universe, and then you unplug and plug another way, you become part of the earth, hydrogen and carbon 12. As I said to you, you have a lot to learn, and this teacher has a lot of time. If you listen to the past our teaching, you will learn so much you never knew, but in fact it's part of you. You decided, your ancestors and your scientists decided to make you ignorant to it, because the fact doesn't change. Just because they hung the guy of the church because he said the earth is not center of the universe, did not work, did it? It actually brought for us, because they've done this, what is the truth? And we found out, yes, he's correct. The truth doesn't change. It is man understanding which has got to change for him to understand the truth. You got to understand As I said last week, the new cycle of processes started to teach you, because now we knew the things are about to change. We have to be able to show the next step, otherwise we are stranded. We're still battling, and as I could see the excitement in the hand and shake of the most powerful man supposedly on earth trying to explain, I was standing there and I saw this rocket moving that way, and I said to him, is that your system can come? In a matter of next 6 months, 12 months, we laugh at this talk. I've given guarantees to the Iranian leadership that Iran, within the next 24 months, will land on the moon and Mars. We don't colonize, we take mankind with us to understand more. The technology is complete. And we do it with collaboration with other nations. The same way as I agreed with the Chinese. Chinese research centers has to be able to accept people from outside China. We do the same using macro in United States to bring technology in US, but under cover of every nation, nationality and the rest. We do the same with Russia. We will do the same with India. We will do the same with Israel and Saudi Arabia. And we make one nation out of nations on the nation of the knowledge. You can draw as much borders as you like. When it comes to the science, they all work together. One of the most important things for us in the coming days and weeks, with the work with the Office of Iran and IEA, is to show that the nuclear technology of today is something we have to know, because with its knowledge we can open into the dimension of the what we call nuclear hydrogen, nuclear carbons, which man it does not even have the knowledge of. Without it, without the fields of radiation, without the operational understanding fields of the inner energy sanctums of the universe, man cannot travel the span of the universe. Man cannot feed itself. Man cannot exist. In so many ways, we are ready after 12 years of creating 5+1 with Obama to close 5+1 as of today with Trump. As I said to the Iranian leadership, we have nothing more to talk about 5+1 because it's dead and buried. Iran is a nuclear technology nation. We speak on the nuclear, but we speak on the nuclear for a space, not nuclear for destruction. And I ask those of you knowledge seekers who have gained in this knowledge, those of you who work in Russian Space Agency, those of you who work in NASA, those of you who work in different structure of the plasma physics, to introduce yourself to the management of the Keshe Foundation, and we call you to join us in the development of the technology. I go directly to Mr. Head of the operation of the Mars mission, good friend, to abandon NASA and join Keshe Foundation as part of the space development. I called to the head of Russian Space Agency, who was a knowledge seeker, to join us. And the same goes to the Chinese space technology people, who I know some very well, close friends. The new space technology has to be collective knowledge of all of us to bring that change. And Vienna is a good place for it to start. But Iran will be the source of the technology and knowledge and expansion of and opening of the space. We have changed the oil and oil fields with space energy, plasma, and the energy of the universe and the creator. Man has to choose. We stay doldrums of dependency and war, or we go into the prosperity of knowledge and creation and opening of the universe. Man has time till 20th of January till we get a guy who's bent backwards to be rich in money of the man, or we make the whole nation of man rich with the knowledge of the Creator. I thank especially the Iranian team and the group appointed by Ayatollah Khamenei to negotiate with us for their non-stop work and their due diligence to be able to bring this to flourish. I thank those who work relentlessly day and night in Iran to make this possible. And they know who they are. Thank them for their work, and especially our Iranian team, who day and night has worked in past few weeks to make this possible. On the 15th of November 2012, I shook hands with America for technology in exchange for peace. On the 15th of November 2024, we shake hands with the whole of humanity. Technology in exchange for peace. We had to start somewhere. And we had to start with the most advanced nation on earth, which was the United States. Now we are all advanced to be one nation and one state. We go through a break, we come back, and we'll see where we go from today. And hopefully within the next few weeks and months, we see a change in the direction of the knowledge of the man, now that we work directly through nations and governments. And that is all thanks to you in doing the work as one nation, as Keshe Foundation.